You are listening to the Million Dollar Coach Business Podcast with Amanda Karlstad, episode number 245. Welcome to the Million Dollar Coach Business Podcast, a show for coaches who are ready to up-level their business and take their impact, leadership, and results to $1 million level and beyond. If you're ready to break through your limitations and start taking powerful action and become the seven-figure version of you that your business needs in order to grow, scale, and thrive, this show is for you. I'm your host, Amanda Karlstad, master coach, high-level business mentor and advisor, master intuitive, and business growth and scaling expert. Let's get down to business. Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to part 2 of the series that I'm doing this week, all around asset-based thinking in your business and why it's critical if you want to go to and expand to that seven-figure and beyond mark in your business. And I'm really excited for our conversation today. And I would highly encourage you that if you haven't listened to part 1, the episode that I launched last week, that was episode number 244, that episode, my intention with it was to teach you the importance of the 3 main assets that you need in your business if you want to scale to $1 million and beyond. So it's a really important aspect of this conversation, and I would highly recommend you go back and listen to that, or even re-listen to that episode if you feel inclined. So today we're going to dive into the inner game, and specifically what I have found to be required from a belief system, from that internal level, specifically around asset-based thinking. And so I do believe that this is going to be a very useful tool for you, no matter where you're at in your journey. And the reason that this topic is so important and the reason that I decided to bring this series to you is because it really is the key in unlocking your next level. And it's also a requirement if you have a desire to grow to that seven-figure level and beyond. And so when I consider what it really takes, and being that really this is my mission, it's my zone of genius to help coaches grow and scale million-dollar businesses and brands and become industry thought leaders through my methods, through my frameworks, through my seven-figure coach method. What I'm about to share with you here today is very, very important. So one of the transitions that you must go through if you want to become $1 million coach and grow to that seven-figure level and beyond is that you must start thinking from an asset-based perspective. And I talked in last week's episode about the 3 required assets that you have to create if you want to build $1 million business. And today I want to challenge you all with your thinking around assets and specifically the assets in your business. And so all of this is a very important conversation, and it's one of the transitions that I see happen very often with my clients is that typically when they come into one of my programs, whether they are coming into my mastermind program where they're working to build that to that 6-figure and beyond revenue level, or if they've already hit that level, so if they're at that 6 or multiple 6-figure level and are looking to go beyond that and scale to 7 figures, this is the work that we do inside of my $1 Million Mastermind. Regardless of where each client is coming in, regardless of the revenue that they're generating in their business, one of the things that we teach them is the importance of building assets in your business. And I gave you 3 of those assets in last week's episode. And in addition to that, so much of the work that we do is around shifting the thinking, is helping our clients to really start thinking in terms of asset-based thinking. And so what this means is that we're typically moving from looking at projects or looking at strategies in the business from that short-term perspective. And we start to help our clients to consider all of these things. And we teach our clients to start to think about their business and the components of their businesses as an asset. And this is a very important mental shift for you if you want to scale. So to give you an example of this, one of the things that a lot of coaches struggle with, that quite frankly, most coaches are in need of a lot of help and support with, is in terms of their marketing and sales system. And there are a lot of approaches that you can take when you look at the different ways that you can market and sell your services and your programs as a coach. And more often than not, what tends to happen in most cases, I see this to be a very unconscious way of thinking, but more often than not, what happens is that most coaches are actually approaching their marketing and sales process in their businesses from a very short-term based line of thinking. And what this means is that they might go out, they might try to implement a certain strategy or a certain tactic in the business. And a lot of times they're jumping from strategy to strategy or tactic to tactic, and they're likely not getting a lot of traction from it. They're not building a lot of momentum around this. And so because of that, they're moving on to the next thing and the next thing, and the cycle continues. And so one of the things that's really important that we teach our clients in how we help them really shift into this asset-based thinking is that it requires us to take a longer-term perspective when looking at the business assets and how we're approaching the business strategy and how we are approaching the business overall. And there's a huge difference between short-term thinking and long-term thinking and asset-based thinking in the business and the results that this then creates in the business. So one of the main components of asset-based thinking is you have to start thinking in terms of a longer time horizon. So if you're thinking in the short term or only in the very near future, one of the things that is important to recognize that I want to highlight here is that in every successful coaching business that I have coached or mentored and advised, one of the most important elements is your ability to approach your business and to build the required assets in the business in a way that can withstand time, that can serve as the foundation for growth in the business, that isn't just some latest tactic or fad in the industry. Because as the CEO, as the coach of your business, as the main marketer of your business, as the operator of your business, all of the roles, when you think about all of the roles that you have to play in your business, your time, your energy is extremely valuable. So applying that energy and that time, your resources towards things that are true assets in your business is foundational work. It is the foundation to $1 million coaching business. It's really the key to building to $1 million and beyond. So the next way of thinking that is so important in terms of asset-based thinking is to, alongside thinking more in terms of the longer term and getting away from that shorter term thinking, is to also be thinking in terms of your ROI. And this really, again, coincides with thinking more long term. But one of the big shifts for coaches who want to scale to that $1 million mark and beyond is that you also must start shifting into looking at the ROI of things like your strategy, around the assets that we talked about in last week's episode, around things like your time, your energy, the investments that you're making. And so what has the potential to drive the most ROI when you're making decisions in your business? One of the frames that has served me very well in my own journey is to continually be thinking in terms of the ROI or the potential ROI, for example, of building out certain assets in my business. And so to give you an example of this, one of the assets that has had a direct ROI in my business and a significant ROI is, for example, this podcast. I see this podcast as not only a way for me to deliver a high level of content to you each and every week, but it's also a real asset that I have built in my business. It's one that has a very clear, direct ROI in my business. So I know that on any given week, one of my priorities is this podcast. I know that my time and my energy, the financial investment that I've put into this podcast, that I continue to put into this podcast, has real ROI, significant ROI. So for me as the CEO, I'm very clear that one of my weekly priorities, a core part of my strategy, is to deliver this podcast each and every week. And I've been consistent with that for almost 5 years. And so I see that not only as a huge asset in my business, but also a huge accomplishment to have created this body of work, to be able to communicate with you and teach you these concepts and these lessons each and every week, to bring a level of value to you that I believe is very valuable, that I know without a shadow of doubt is real business advice that will undoubtedly help you in your business growth journey if you put into practice the things that I'm talking about in this podcast. So these ways of being, these new ways of thinking that I'm offering to you each and every week is significant. And it's also a very valuable asset that I've created in my business. So I would offer to you that when you're looking to implement or create assets in your business, it's also very valuable for you to think about the ROI of these assets. And many times you have to understand that the ROI will come over time. Another example of this that I think really speaks to this is the ROI of, for example, a sales funnel or even a book. Both are very powerful assets that any coach has the ability to create that can generate ROI over the course of their journey, and it will continue to drive real ROI into the business. So thinking in terms of ROI is huge. All right. So the final way of thinking that I would encourage you to adopt when it comes to asset-based thinking is that when it comes to business, there is a plethora of things that will be required for you to learn. There's a huge learning curve that no matter what step of the journey that you're on, that you will be required to learn, that you will be required to develop skill in, that you will need to grow your muscles with. And the normal reaction to these things is to resist them, is to, for example, having a want to hire these things out as soon as possible, to resist having to learn and grow your skills in certain ways. And so what I would offer here is that there is real value in learning what is needed, in developing your skills in certain areas. And I'm not saying that you don't delegate things, but before you delegate things, that you also understand certain things, that you understand, for example, how certain things work in your business, that you having a knowledge of, for example, how to connect certain things or how to write copy, how to create high-performing sales pages, that these are pieces of knowledge that are assets for you, that you will be able to continue to draw on time after time as you create new programs, as you update your pages to better align with your mission, as you evolve as a coach. So the knowledge that you gain by going through the process of doing these things, of growing and scaling your business, is also a real asset. So assets can take the form of many different things inside of your business. Not only is it the tangible assets that are required, that are needed, but it also comes in the form of knowledge, in the way that you approach your business, in the experience that you gain of growing and scaling your business. So I invite you to lean into this, to adopt a more asset-based thinking approach in your business, where you are thinking from a longer time horizon, where you are considering the ROI of something rather than what is this perhaps costing me, where you're considering the knowledge and the experience that you're building, that you're gaining as a real asset that you can then draw upon when you need to. These are all ways of being and thinking that we work on inside of my programs, inside of the mastermind and my $1 Million Mastermind. I would invite you that if you know that you're needing to better adopt this way of thinking, if you know that you need to create real assets in your business, then I would invite you to apply to join us if you want real expert support in doing that. We are building $1 million businesses and brands each and every day, and I'd love to have you on board. All right, my friends, I want to invite you to get to it. Have a great week. I'll talk to you all again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the $1 Million Coach Business Podcast. If you're ready to step into the $1 million version of yourself and scale your business to 6, multi-6, or 7 figures and beyond, go to amandakarlstadcoaching.com.